Happy Father's Day. June 19th, year 2005. I suppose it's an appropriate day to have a conversation with the camera. Why not? Oh, Silvercloud here. Silvercloud, Oakwood, Chafin, Washburn Jr. What a name. Of course, I was born as Oakwood Chafin Washburn Jr. 30th of September 1941. The war was on. Not quite. I arrived before Pearl Harbor Day. Yes, a lot can be said about that day too. I'll keep my political opinions to myself. Thank you. Born in a town, Elkton, Maryland. Up on East High Street. Couldn't tell you the house number, but I do remember exactly where the house is. We moved to this place. It was called Gilpin Manor Estates. Formerly an old plantation from the very early 1700s. Huge old stone stuccoed over farmhouse, barns, silos, pig pens, the whole 9 yards. The old house even had a secret underground tunnel that went from the basement to the creek, the Little Elk Creek. That was for back in the days of, there were still Indians around in the early times of that house. And that tunnel was used as a place of refuge or an escape tunnel. And oddly enough, there's an old Indian burial grounds there in the vicinity of where this tunnel runs underground. Not too many talk about it, and I'm not going to give you the exact location because I consider that to be sacred ground. Lord, they'll be out there with backhoes and digging and doing all kind of stuff. If the exact spot were to be pointed out, and I'm not going to do that. I just know it's there. Remember, not a lot, but a lot of interesting things from the farm. Horses and mules. Corn was cut by hand. Lots of things were done by hand. And everybody had a little chore, including me. I got to feed chickens. Even have my own special cow to learn how to milk. That's interesting. God, I could walk underneath of the cow. I actually learned how to milk a cow as a child. That's interesting. She broke my foot. Got both of them. That was an interesting trip too. I'm trying to milk her and she stepped on me. Oh well. Get one foot better and she got the other one. Used to sit in that old apple tree up at the pig pen. I'd eat apples and throw them down to the pigs. Remember climbing that tree. Old outhouse. Chamber pots. Whole 9 yards. Old wood stove. Only heat in the house was fireplaces, or the wood stove in the kitchen. Yeah, we spent a couple of years there. We moved into town. Down on West High Street. My golly. 144 West High. The place is still there. And we had pigeons. Pop had pigeons. He had a pigeon coop. And it was on the back of a garage. And we'd feed the pigeons and he'd let them loose, let them go fly. They all came back. They knew where home was. They knew where to get their corn. Then we moved up the street to Mr. Divert's house. That was at 144. Got strange memories from that place. I actually died there. First time I ever passed away. Most people today would call it a near-death experience, but I left here. I had rheumatic and scarlet fever together. I have a basic understanding of both of those diseases today. And it's beyond me how having both of them together at the same time can happen, but it happened. And whatever it did, it went to work on me. When I died, for many, many years, I ascertained that I actually saw Jesus. Now, in my older age, and now that I'm getting ready to die again, I can't say that with certainty. I was there, and I saw something. It was very peaceful, and the brightest white light and robes I'd ever seen in my life. But that, whatever it was, spoke to me. Called me by a nickname, said, "Buddy, you're going to be made well." I remember that. And I woke up. I was sitting up in bed. I hear Mom coming up the steps. She come through the door and took one look at me and keeled over. Well, I didn't know what was going on. All I knew, I was sitting in bed, I was okay. And she fell over. Well, before I could get out of bed, lo and behold, there's a thrashing and clanging and banging, and up the steps and appeared through the doorway was Dr. Sprecher, who she had called to tell him that I had passed away. And he only lived a block and a half away, his office. And he came on the fly. He took one look at me and he said, "Don't look like I need to do anything for you." He said, "But I better do something to help your mom." And he scrambled around in that big black bag he was carrying. He got a needle out that was like, and he got this jar of whatever it was, and I found out later it was adrenaline. They took that big old horse needle and shoved that thing in there and got a big syringe of it and stabbed Mom right in the chest with it and injected her with that stuff. Well, she came to. She had had a heart attack. I guess so. He had hardly got done with that, and here come Dr. Dotson. He was the county coroner. So Dr. Sprecher and Dr. Dotson loaded Mom up in their paddle truck. And my Aunt Peg and Uncle Buck showed up out of nowhere. So there wasn't any need for anybody to stay there with me. I can remember seeing their car, and I can remember a short conversation that the doctor had with me, taking Mabel to the hospital. Need somebody to watch Buddy, he's okay. So, strange event happened in that house.